Today, the next president of the United States gave a speech. At least that's what her followers would have us believe. In Winnipeg, Canada this afternoon, Hillary Rodham Clinton said a lot of things that presumably she would repeat on the campaign trail. Mark and I have dissected them in the style of Dr. Gregory House. And here's Chapter 1 on income inequality.
The 80 richest people in the world, 80 richest people in the world, now possess as much wealth as the poorest 3.5 billion people combined. Last night, President Obama offered a vision for helping the middle class in the United States reclaim its seat at the table, and the proposals he offered are an important start for a critical debate. How can we share prosperity more broadly and fairly? How can we relearn how to work together and to grow together? The free market economy that goes hand in hand with democracy has to take seriously these questions. There is so much more to do to bring security and possibility to families struggling with stagnant wages and sinking hopes.
Mark, I have three, I'm going to ask for your take on that in 1 second, but I have three cliched words to say to you as my immediate take, which are paging Elizabeth Warren. What do you think?
Well, three things. One, clearly she's trying to lay down some markers on the populist left, but I think, she said President Obama's policies were a start of the conversation. I think that's the key word. It seems obvious, again, with this as a tea leaf, that she wants to preserve the ability to go to the president's left on some things or the right on some things, depending on how his policies are faring within the party and within the country at large. So, one, I think she's keeping her options open on that by using that word start. Two, let's face it, that presentation is decent.
Yeah.
But that is not stirring.
No.
That is interesting, but it is not stirring. It is not Clinton-esque in the sense of Bill Clinton, and it wasn't nearly as good as President Obama was last night, and not as good as she can be.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'd say is, like a lot of the Republicans, she wants to analyze the problem more than she wants to offer solutions right now.
I'll just say inclusive capitalism is a phrase you're going to hear a lot about in this campaign. Center for American Progress, or her old friend Larry Summers, a bunch of people have done things. This is going to be a key issue in this campaign on the right and the left, on the left and the right. Okay, so let's listen to what Hillary Clinton had to say about foreign policy here.
Extremism, authoritarianism, Putinism, none of them can compete with democracy at our best. We are in a contest of ideas and values. And who are we contesting against? Well, we're not contesting against the vast majority of Muslims, but we can't close our eyes to the fact that at this time in our world history, there is a distorted and dangerous strain of extremism within the Muslim world that continues to spread. The slaughter of satire writers and Jews and police officers sharpened the true contours of this struggle.
So, Mark, exactly the comment you just made about the income inequality thing is the mirror image here. Speaking about foreign policy, she speaks with conviction, she speaks with passion, she speaks with emotion, she sounds like a leader. I mean, this is a woman, she has got that, as we know, a little bit of a neoconish streak in her, but boy, that is not just a distant analyst. She is a former Secretary of State who a lot more comfortable talking about this stuff than she is talking about stuff in her own country.
And kicks the rhetorical butt of every Republican thinking of running for president.
Absolutely.
I mean, the level of command she has, and as you said, not just intellectual command, but emotional command, leader command of all these issues, and in an integrated way. A lot of her Secretary of State work was a little below the radar. Some of it was prominent, but she learned a ton. And with the exception of Mike Pence and John Kasich, two Midwestern governors who served in Congress, there's almost no one out there, including Mitt Romney, who can talk about foreign policy the way she can. It is formidable.
Any Republican who thinks that they're going to be able to beat Hillary Clinton on foreign policy by just yelling Benghazi, Benghazi, Benghazi needs to watch that speech and the other things she says about foreign policy to recognize how formidable she really is on those topics.
Now, at the same time, it's still analysis of situations. It's rhetoric. You don't hear any new proposals about solving any of the existing challenges America faces around the world. And that, what is the Clinton doctrine on foreign policy and our current challenges as compared to Obama? She's still going to have to figure that out.
All right, moving on to the next little clip here. We got the conversation about Russia also turned to how Americans elect their president, prompting an imitation.
I mean, you can imagine the conversation with Putin. He was prime minister after he was president, and then one day he says, Vladimir, you think you'd like to be president again? I think I would, actually. Why don't we just go announce it? We'll tell Dmitry that he could be prime minister. Excellent idea.
Okay, I am virtually certain that is the first time I have ever heard Hillary Clinton in public imitate her husband, and for that reason alone, that piece of video is a keeper.
I mean, I want to do some research and see if she's ever done it. I've been knowing the Clintons, as we say in Arkansas, since the early 90s. I've never seen her do that. Seen it. Awesome. Yeah. Awesome, light, relaxed. Funny. Even the Canadians thought it was funny.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, last one real quick here. Finally, Hillary also talked about some of the things she didn't really want to talk about, including the Keystone pipeline.
It's a great training ground for being president of the United States as well, isn't it? So,
You won't get me to talk about Keystone because I steadily made clear that I'm not going to express an opinion. This is in our process, and that's where it belongs.
What's it like being a grandmother? And then tell us what you would like her to call you.
Oh, my gosh, Victor. That's a negotiation harder than a lot that I did in the Secretary of State job. I'm already noticing that she's probably got some strong feelings about things. So I thought I'd wait and exercise a veto if I didn't like it.
Kind of amazing that she still feels as though it's plausible for her to have a position that she will not take a position on the Keystone pipeline. A little bit of a flash of that kind of excessive caution and calculation. That is a huge problem for her politically. What do you think about that, Mark?
Biggest problem she faces is letting the country like her, and part of that is getting rid of all this caution, all this agonizing. The Republicans predictably are having a field day on her failure to take a position on Keystone. She can justify it in her own mind, but if she's not bold about things like that, she's going to have a hard time getting elected no matter who the Republicans nominate.
It's crazy. Everybody in America has a position on that at this point in American politics. That she doesn't have a position is crazy.